Hello and welcome. Today, we're moving way beyond the basic hello world of hosting a website on Amazon S3. We're going to talk about how to architect a real production-grade setup, one that's secure, blazing fast, and can scale to handle pretty much anything. So let's dive right in.
So you've got a static site up and running on S3. That's awesome. It's a great start. But let me ask you this. Are you making the single most common and most critical mistake? One that could be leaving your site both vulnerable and slow? Let's find out.
Okay, so here it is, side by side. On the left, you've got the common way. You flip the switch for static website hosting and bam, your S3 bucket is wide open to the public. It works, sure, but it's not what you want in production. Now look at the right, the professional way. It's a totally different philosophy. The S3 bucket is completely private, and all traffic has to go through Content Delivery Network, or CDN. And this, right here, is the biggest takeaway. Your production bucket must be private. All right, let's dig into that. We need to break down exactly why this public bucket approach is such a problem. You know, in a professional setting, just serving files straight from an S3 endpoint is what we call an anti-pattern, and for some really good reasons. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is an established industry best practice. This quote from the source material couldn't be clearer. For any serious production workload, you need a CDN. It's a simple shift in thinking, but it's the foundation for everything else we're about to build. Okay, so we've got a handle on the problem. Now for the fun part, building the solution. We're going to walk through the 4 key components that make up a professional static site architecture on AWS, one piece at a time. First up, of course, is the S3 bucket itself. But here's the twist. In this architecture, we don't think of it as a web server. Instead, think of it as the origin, like a secure private warehouse that just holds all your valuable assets. Its only job is to store your files safely and securely. That's it. Next is Amazon CloudFront, our CDN. Now, if S3 is the central warehouse, think of CloudFront as this massive global network of over 600 retail storefronts. It takes copies of your files from the warehouse and stores them super close to your users, no matter where they are in the world. This is what gives you that lightning-fast speed and, just as importantly, provides the HTTPS security for your site. So you might be wondering, how do we securely connect all those storefronts to our private warehouse? Well, that is the job of something called Origin Access Control, or OAC. The best way to think about OAC is as the dedicated security guard for your warehouse. This guard has one very simple rule. Only CloudFront is allowed inside. Anyone else? Denied. This is the mechanism that completely locks your S3 bucket down from the public internet. And finally, the last piece of the puzzle. How do people actually find your site? That's where Route 53, Amazon's DNS service, comes into play. It's basically the address book for the entire internet. It just takes your custom domain name and points it directly to your CloudFront distribution. It's the glue that ties the whole system together for the end user. Okay, so that's the architecture. It's got a few more moving parts for sure. So you're probably asking, why even bother with all this? Well, let's get right into the 4 game-changing benefits of doing it the professional way. Benefit number 1, and this is a big one, folks. 0. Zilch. Nada. That's the number of servers you have to manage. No operating systems to patch, no web server software to update, no late-night security alerts to worry about. All that operational headache just disappears. Benefit number 2 is all about pure, unadulterated speed. With over 600 of those storefronts or points of presence around the world, your website's content is physically closer to your users. This dramatically cuts down latency, which means your site loads incredibly fast for everyone, everywhere. Third up is reliability. S3 is designed for 99.99% availability. So what does that actually mean for you? It means your website is just always on. And if your site suddenly goes viral and gets a huge traffic spike, S3 and CloudFront just handle it. They scale automatically. You don't have to do a thing.
And the final benefit is all about safety. S3 is built for something called 11 nines of durability. That number is, well, it's so big, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. But what it means is that the chance of you ever losing a file you store in S3 is astronomically, vanishingly small. Your data is incredibly safe.
Now, this architecture is incredibly powerful, but, and this is important, it's not a silver bullet. It's not the right choice for every single project. So let's take a quick look at when you should use this setup and when you should probably consider some of the alternatives on AWS. Okay, think of this as your quick and dirty cheat sheet.
You absolutely want to use this S3 and CloudFront setup when you're dealing with client-side files. Single-page apps built with React or Vue or Angular, and you want that minimal cost and global speed. But, and it's a big but, if your application needs to run code on a server, like a classic WordPress, PHP, or Python app, this is not the right tool for the job.
This decision matrix here lays it all out even clearer. If what you really want is maximum control and the lowest possible cost as you scale, our S3 and CloudFront architecture is the hands-down winner. Now, if you want a more managed, all-in-one experience with an automated deployment pipeline right from your code, you should probably look at AWS Amplify. And if you have a legacy application, like WordPress, you're still going to need a traditional server, like an EC2 instance or maybe Lights.
We've covered the problem, the professional architecture, the benefits, and the alternatives. So let's boil all of this down to the key things you really need to remember.
If you walk away with nothing else, remember these 3 golden rules. Rule number 1, for a production site, always put a CDN in front of your S3 bucket. No exceptions. Rule number 2, your S3 bucket must be private. Use Origin Access Control to enforce that rule. And rule number 3, know your project's needs. This architecture is perfect for static sites, but other tools exist for a reason.
And that really brings us to the final, crucial question, doesn't it? It's your next move. You now know why you need to lock your bucket and what tool, OAC, to use. So the logical next step is to learn how. How do you actually go into the AWS console and configure Origin Access Control to create that secure bridge between CloudFront and your S3 bucket? Because that's the key that makes this whole professional architecture click into place.